Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Julie Andrews. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Mark, how are you? Thank you. Here?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Thank you. It's a lovely introduction.
So great to have you here. You're so nice to come by.
Well, you're very kind to have us all here today.
It's been more than a couple of minutes since you were last on Broadway.
I'd say it's been about, somebody told me like 30 years, and it's mind-boggling because it doesn't feel like that.
What made you decide to come back?
I could tell you 6 or 7 different reasons, and I don't know which one would have the first priority. It was to do with, I guess, my mortality and feeling that I still had something that I wanted to do. It probably had financial aspects. It had the fact that my husband was so involved. It was a family enterprise. And about, as I say, about 6 other reasons too. So, and the last one, of course, is why not?
And does being on stage now for you on Broadway have the same allure it did when you were on Broadway?
Actually, it has the most wonderful, slightly different allure. When I was much younger, it seems that I came to the theater and I shoved aside anything that was bothering me, and I used the theater as an escape. And these days, it is such a joy to go to the theater and make people feel good. And the show is so funny and so joyous that it just makes me feel good. It's something that just works both ways. And that's something I think that probably you learn a little bit as you get older.
I want to do something that's going to make me feel good. Don't think I'm fresh, actually. I'm just going to...
I was hoping you might be.
There you go.
That's not Mary Poppins.
You know, Julie, when we're sitting out there as the audience and we hear, we get the buzz of us sitting out there and we see that curtain, we always imagine what's going on behind the curtain.
Oh.
Take me behind the curtain before it comes up. What's going through your head as you hear us on the other side of the curtain?
I was going to take it on a different tack, Mark, because what's going on behind the curtain is absolute mayhem for me. I have only the intermission when I return to my dressing room, because everything else is a quick change. And the most I have off stage to change is about 4 minutes. Most of my changes are about less than a minute or a minute 15 seconds to do huge transformations. And that's makeup, hair, wigs, everything.
Now, what about the 5 minutes or so before it comes up?
Oh,
Do you hear that buzz out there?
Do you get this?
No, we don't hear the buzz because right now we're playing to a lot of theater benefits and charity audiences, and they don't buzz yet. Once in a while we'll get the most phenomenal group, and then you can feel it. But actually it's mostly to do with rush, and is my microphone's intact, and do I have enough blush on, and is my voice warmed up enough, things like that. And God, how am I going to get through?
You have had such a phenomenal range of performance opportunities. Many performers tell me that they don't have a good performance unless they literally almost feel sick before they go out on stage. Do you still get worked up?
Yes, I
and
still
is that important for you to feel that way to perform well?
I wish it didn't happen. I mean, I'd give anything not to sort of feel like I was about to throw my guts out, but it's probably important. It's partly excitement and a thrill, especially on big nights like an opening night or something like that. Every single performance is different. It depends whether it's raining, whether it's cold outside, whether people have colds, whether you have a cold, how fatigued you are. So everything sort of, each night there's a different feeling. But that's, I guess, what makes it interesting, and that's the challenge.
Talk about changing this movie into a Broadway show and the effort, and let alone what you had to do to prepare for it.
Well, I think I'm lucky in that I did have the movie role to sort of cement into the back of my head, but it's actually a very different animal. And if you've seen it, I don't know if you have, but if you've seen it, you'll see that it's not the film at all. It's very much a theater show. It's a musical. And characters have been fleshed out, and Blake had to do 2 things. He had to flesh out things, and he had more time and attention to detail, and also he had to condense a great deal from the movie because you couldn't just go all over Paris or whatever. So it was putting it into a proscenium set and then playing with the characters. And so there's a lot more character and a lot more laughs than the film.
But give just a minute to your own physical preparation for this, because did I see you on an exercise bike someplace getting ready for this thing?
No, you didn't see it. No, each day is just a slow run in, and of course matinee days are tough because one's rushing to run into 2 shows. But it's an exercise workout in the morning, just slow and easy, and what I need for my body. And then there's a singing, vocalizing practice that I do at the house. And it's eating, and it's getting in to get made up. And then there's, as I say, there's the wig and there's the microphones. Each thing takes its own time.
And we're going to talk more about that when we come back after the short break.
Okay.
More from Julie Andrews. Coming up next.
Well, good morning. It's 8:50.
At 7:30, I'm off to heaven. Too late for Louis. He's now chop suey, extremely gooey. To hell with
That's Julie Andrews in her hit Broadway show, Victor Victoria. And she's back here with us live this morning. Your voice. So many songs we know that we identify with you and your voice. It's such a gift.
Thank you. I think it is too. I'm grateful for it.
Talk to me a little bit about it and the care of it and the quality of it and where it comes from.
And where it's going. It's a voice that actually, it doesn't just pour out. It's not that I sound like a terrible rusty old engine when I haven't practiced. And it takes a long time to get in shape for an album or for a show or whatever. And I used to have a real freakish voice of about 4 octaves, and I could sing wild high notes, and dogs would howl for miles around and things like that. But as I've gotten older, it's matured and mellowed, and the interesting thing is that it used to be very thin and very white sounding, and although it still is a bit, I can do more with it in this register, and I'm enjoying it much more because it's now more malleable,
I'm curious about the dynamics of your working relationship with your husband. You've done movies with him, and now you've made a year-long commitment to this show.
I mean, if we're still together after this show, then we're going to be together for the rest of our lives, I think.
You have no escape now.
No.
How hard is it?
The show or working
Well, for
together?
both of you, to work on a show that is this time-consuming and that has required the strength and the
Well, his
commitment that
work is
both
sort
of you
of
have.
finished to a degree, although I'm sure he, every night he's coming in saying, God, I'd like to fix that, and he does occasionally. Now he has to just see me go off to the theater and say, well, I'll see you later, and he gets to see all the wonderful Broadway shows. But it's easy and it's difficult. It's easy in that we talk a sort of shorthand. It's difficult in that I think he thinks that I know what he's thinking when I don't. And also it's terrible when he says something like, well, that's great, darling, but could you just do it better? And that doesn't work at all.
When, I want to go back in a little history here. When did you realize, and I don't want to embarrass you because most people don't say that they've actually made it, but when did you feel that it was different? Your career, your life. Was it the sound of music? Was it, you're shaking it, when was it?
It's an odd question, but it's a very good one, because when I felt that I had made it was when I got to a place where I knew I would never have to do music hall and vaudeville anymore, because all during my teens I was a teenage sort of freak star. And I just toured and stayed in the worst digs, and I went round and round and round England, playing pretty dreary places and actually doing some very tacky stuff. And the day that I knew that I never need go back to that was the day I felt I had it made.
Wow. People don't know that part about your history. I want to go, but you were talking about recording before. Did I hear a rumor someplace that Victor Victoria, it's the #1 album in New York? Did I hear that someplace?
Today
And it
we
beat the Beatles?
We beat the Beatles today, and we are in New York, #1 album. I'm thrilled.
Lots more ahead with Julie Andrews. We need to take a break. 23 minutes after the hour. We will be right back.
We present the kind of picture people are glad to see.